level, but it's definitely where we start going up to another level.
All right, I'm gonna try this section one more time, and if I fail, I'm gonna switch to the regular one and come back to it.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Do I have any better weapons? Oh shit! I have the shield generator. Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah, look at that. You're just killing these guys.
Oh yeah, no problem now. I'm good.
So yeah, I mean there was a lot going on there, and so there was a lot of back and forth on this level, and so this level reminds me a lot of my failures and my shortcomings as a human being.
As well, it should.
So that's always fun, and that's always nice.
And that's another reason why I'm in a good mood today. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the lack of IK, that was one of the reasons why we never did giant enemies that had big feet, right? Because getting them to walk on slopes, we couldn't do well without IK either.
Yeah, I mean, we did it to an extent, but I mean, granted, we never went crazy with it because Ratchet has a tiny little bit of IK. Like a tiny little bit of IK on Ratchet. But he's the only one that has it, and he's probably the only one that's going to, well, obviously, but it's a lot of work, and unless you're gonna make it a big part of your game, like it's not worth putting in the time to get a really crazy robust IK system. I mean, it's not something that just sort of emerges fully formed. You can't just put a guy on it for a couple days.
It doesn't make itself?
Well, unless it's Ryan.
Ryan Juckett?
Juckett, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Juckett will fire you up an IK system in like 2 days.
Ryan was a guy we worked with at Bionic.
At Bionic.
Yeah.
Well, we're just getting a little bit off topic from Insomniac. But I know if Ryan was to listen to this, which he's not going to, so it's probably...
Oh, fuck!
But he would take exception to saying that you couldn't just work up an IK system in a couple days.
Okay, so no one but Juckett could do an IK
Nobody
system.
but Juckett could do that.
A really good, robust one, at least.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna go down the main path here. Do you want to do the part with the Courtney Gears bit or the other part first?
You know what? Your choice, buddy.
I think we should end on the Courtney Gears.
Okay, let's end on the Courtney Gears bit.
All right.
This was Moo's section of the level.
Yep.
This is what he was talking about. Or, no, he didn't talk about it on camera. He talked about it off camera. About how he would like to come back to do this. But, too bad, Moo. You don't get to come back for this. We're going to talk shit on your work without you.
Oh, these crates right here, these ones?
Yeah.
I coded those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You did a lot of work on those. Good job.
They're pretty awesome because like they can blow up and they have gravity and all sorts of stuff. It was crazy.
Wow.
And I had to make them as robust as possible because since they were, like, generally speaking, when I coded stuff, it didn't end up in the game. Like, I was usually coding stuff because a programmer was busy and we needed a prototype. But since this one was going to end up in the game, I had to do all kinds of crazy shit. Like, since it has gravity and can fall, like, I needed to make sure that you could place these without them being a huge problem and... Like, oh, yeah. They were very interesting. Let's put it that way.
You do realize that they're just boxes.
What? Tony, I do my best work on everything, even if they're just boxes.
Okay.
Like some people will make a box and they won't care about how hard it is for a designer to set that up. But not me. I made those boxes auto-snap and shit. Like they have different destruction states, and they're not boxes, Tony. They're important pieces of gameplay.
All right, well, hopefully somebody, while playing through this game, put notice as to how much work went into those boxes.
Well, look, they're destructible.
Some would say too much work. Not me, though. I would never dare say.
That was at least a week of my time.
What? No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I'd say at least a week.
There's no way that took you a week.
Yeah, you're probably right. But
if that took you a week, you should never be allowed to do anything again.
Why's that, Tony?
That's like 2 hours tops. Considering the stuff we had in place already, Like you could have done that. You could have just picked that up and taken it out in a couple hours.
Well, it does have like that. That's made up of like 3 or 4 different models that you have to use based on its destruction states and stuff like that. So it's and I think it even has like detection for what part of the box you're hitting, so that it spawns the right, corner breaks off and stuff. Like it's more detailed than it seems.
I find that hard to believe.
And like if the robot torso destroys one on the bottom, then one on the top has to fall, and you make a nice crushing sound with some good effects, and like that was at least a day.
You know what else falls nicely when you destroy the one on the bottom?
What?
All of the crates that we have in the game.
Oh, dude, those crates are so hard to set up. They oh fuck. And yeah.
I don't think we've talked about the joy that is placing crates in Ratchet and Clank.
No, we haven't, have we?
Because we farm that stuff off to the lowest person on the totem pole.
Yeah, whichever is the newest designer.
The newest person's like, hey, guess what? You get to place crates everywhere in the game.
Or the least busy tester. It's usually
fun.
One of those two. Oh shit! Come on.
Because it's the kind of thing you take for granted. That for most of the development, we're working in levels that are sort of crateless.
Right. And
then somebody walks by and it's like, this game isn't fun. What's wrong? Why isn't Ratchet fun? Oh, we're not breaking crates all the time. Somebody needs to place crates everywhere.
The crates are very important, yeah.
There's a science to placing crates as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just place them all facing the same direction. That's an artless crate placement. You gotta place them in boxes that look random but still, are well thought out, and you
have to place them one by one everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
by hand.
You basically we couldn't just duplicate a crate because the duplicate feature of Maya was really shaky when it came to things like crates, and crates were tied into the occlusion system because. Like if there was a building blocking them, we didn't want them to draw. So anytime you moved crates, occlusion had to be rerun on the levels.
And that was a long process.
Yeah, occlusion would take an entire evening to do, to just run the automated process that would do that. So crates were really complicated, and the worst part about the crates is it's not like I could do one crate placement and then duplicate it everywhere and then change it. Like you had to place one crate and then start duplicating that crate and then using a special macro to move it up and down, because the crates were not allowed to differ at all on the z-axis, the up-down axis. Like they had to have the exact same number or they would break horribly. It was just... And then you had to put each group of crates into their own individual Maya group and name it something separately. Because if you put all the crates in one group, the game would just come to this screeching halt. It was incredibly inefficient to do that way for some reason. They were not fun. So my crates are better.
I always loved the pain of the first person. Like, the first time somebody has to place crates, they're always just like, this is the stupidest, most horrible task I've ever had to do in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty...
These fucking crates.
Well, and you have to place 2 sets of crates. Like,
That's right, for the major and minor segments.
Exactly. Yeah, so you have to place major crates and minor crates, and the minor crates have to be in different looking piles. And, oh, man.
For people who might have forgotten, major segments are the enemy setups or segments the first time you go through them.
Right, like what I'm playing right now.
And then after you beat them, they go into the minor setup, which generally have less crates and less bolts. And we do it that way so you can't just go through over and over and over again to bolt farm. Right.
I think at some point we realized that this was a terrible idea. We realized that major and minor segments were just not worth the amount of work that they took. So after a certain point, we stopped doing minor segments, but I think in this game we still had them. Oh, God. Now you've got me thinking about crate placement, man. You're just bumming me out.
There's a whole art to it, and like the thing about crate placement that's awesome. Well, I guess not awesome, but it's one of those things where everybody has an opinion on them. It's just one of those things where it's so minor, but the more minor something is, the more people feel like they have a right to chime in on it.
Yeah.
So, like, those are for sure one of those people where everybody's going to chime in on crate placement.
I got a bug once that said crate placements on level 17 are uninspired. That was it. That was the whole bug, and it's like, oh shit, I got to go back and replace every crate on level 17 and
uninspired.
Make them inspired. Yeah. I have no idea what that meant. Oh, I have an interesting story about the design of this level. When Colin was designing this level, he had to design 3 levels at the same time. Did you know that?
I didn't know that for sure, but okay.
So during this one deadline, and basically we would have 5 weeks to design levels on paper, right? And you'd get a level on paper plus, a rough block out of a level in 5 weeks, right? So for some reason, during this particular milestone, Colin had to do 3 levels, arted and blocked out and so forth, right? It's a ton of work, and he just didn't have time to do them all. So what he did was he did this level and 2 other levels, and on this level and 1 other level, he did what he called a parody of Ratchet gameplay, right? So basically, he took all the quintessential Ratchet and Clank type setups, like that. If you watched the Ratchet 2 commentary, you'll notice there were a couple levels that we pointed out were like the baseline Ratchet combat setup. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So Colin did a couple where he made them what he said were parodies of them. They were just like so much like the regular Ratchet setup that he thought they would get ridiculed and and it would be clear to everyone that he just didn't have enough time to do a full-on design, right? And then Mark Cerny came in to evaluate his level designs, and he said, "Let me guess." And he pointed to the 2 that he had done just, like it took him 1 day to do each level, right? And he said, "You spent all your time on those 2. And then just screwed off on this one." And Colin was like, "No, it was the other way around." So apparently, making levels that were a parody of actual levels was a more effective way of making Ratchet levels than doing it the other way. So if you guys are wondering why this level is so good, it's because Colin was ridiculing Ratchet gameplay.
It was always fun to talk to Colin. We talk about Colin a lot.
We should get him on, yeah.
We should, but it was always fun talking game design with Colin because he came from Army Men.
Yes.
From the Army Men game.
3DO he worked for was his first
And
company.
I'm not going to say anything about Army Men, but I mean, anybody who's played Army Men, I don't got to say anything about Army Men. So it was always fun to hear him, like, when he did something amazing, he would never really seem to realize that it was amazing.
Because he was very self-deprecating?
Yeah.
I really liked working with Colin because I learned so much from him. Like, he has a really good instinctual understanding of how all this stuff should work. So he understood Ratchet gameplay well enough to parody it, whereas I didn't understand it well enough to do that, So, I mean, I don't know if that's the same thing as what you were saying, but go Colin.
You spent a lot of time here on this hacker puzzle there, buddy.
I'm making progress. Shut up. Fortunately, I'm getting act tuned, and I can actually see it happening. What happens is that every time that you lose, it spawns more greens and fewer reds.
Terminal should give us high-level access to all of Nefarious's project files.
Oh, you went straight to the Courtney Gears.
I don't think so. No, this is when he finds out about the Death Star that turns things into squishies.
That information has been deleted.
Huh.
Yeah, this isn't the one with the Courtney Gears video.
Location unknown. However, a large transport vessel left this facility yesterday. It was headed for the Obani moon system.
The Obani moons, huh? Well, we better check it out.